8 August 2016. It's Monday afternoon, having a little sun showers. So my camera, my iPhone camera, what I'm video on right now, is underneath my back porch roof. And behind me, I'll be standing out in the grass as I teach you about worm casting extract, compost extract, as opposed to worm tea brewing or compost tea brewing. The difference between the two is in diversity and density. When you're doing an extract, it's a very simple process where you just take your ingredient, you put it in a bucket, no matter what size, and you add water, and then you just add oxygen. So there's just 3 ingredients. You got your compost, you got your worm casting, you got your water, and you got your oxygen. So you just need those 3 ingredients, and it's a short brewing time, usually 2 to 4 hours, and you're not adding any food. So what's ever in the soil, what's ever in the compost, what's ever in the worm casting, that's the most you can get out of your extract. And in other words, you're trying to agitate the bacteria off the physical extract, and you're trying to suspend it in a fluid. Suspend it, have it float in the water, and then you take that water and you spread it out over your vegetation or your plants. Now, in a single teaspoon of soil, biologists tell us that there's roughly more bacteria than there are people on the planet, at least 3 billion count, and there might be 100,000 different bacteria count. But let's just take those numbers and throw them away, because we're going to speak theoretically for a moment, just so you can get the concept of how the extract differs from the worm tea brewing. The most bacteria that you can have in an extract, let's just say if we only put in that teaspoon of soil, you would have, let's just say there's only 1 billion bacteria count in that, and there was 10,000 different varieties of bacteria. So the most you could do is remove those 10,000 different varieties by soaking them in water, and after 2 to 4 hours, instead of having the 1 billion bacteria count with the 10,000 different varieties on the solid matter, now they're all floating in water. And then you take that and you simply just pour it on your vegetation and your plants. However, if we were brewing a tea or brewing a compost or a worm casting tea, the difference is that tea, when we add molasses as a sugar and we brew it for 24 to 36 hours, it's going to favor a certain percentage of those 10,000 variety of bacteria. And let's just say, for the sake of argument, that it only really supports the life of 1,000 out of those 10,000 different varieties. So let's just say, for instance, those 1,000 start to grow in those conditions, and we grow 1 billion every 20 minutes. So that's about the time a new colony usually grows. So in the course of an hour, 1,000 times 1 billion is 1 trillion. So times 3, that's 3 trillion an hour we can grow. I guess over the course of 24 hours, that would come up to 288 trillion, if my math is right. So if we were doing brew tea, when we're done, we'd have 1,000 different varieties, but we'd have 288 trillion count. So the density of the life that we would have is so much higher, as opposed to having the 10,000 different varieties with 1 billion. Yeah, with 1 billion. So you have a choice. If you're going to do an extract, you could end up with 1 billion count with 10,000 different varieties. Or if you did a worm tea, you could end up with, theoretically speaking, 288 trillion with just a 1,000 different varieties. So that's the difference between worm extracting or worm casting extracting and worm tea brewing or compost tea brewing or compost. You know, if you're trying to spread this life out over a football field, which is about an acre, 100 yards long, 50 yards wide, you want to do a compost tea or a worm casting tea because you've got at least 288 trillion count to spread out over that, as opposed to just a billion if you did an extract. So the next video, what we're going to do is show you how we make an extract, and we're going to show you how we do a worm tea.